Why America's tech empire is starting to crumble. America built the digital world. Now it's watching that empire crumble in real time. While you were scrolling through your social media feed this morning, China deployed over 2 million industrial robots across its factories. While American tech companies laid off nearly 100,000 workers in 2024, Huawei was clustering thousands of AI chips into supercomputers that rival anything Silicon Valley can build. And while Europe slapped a nearly $3 billion fine on Google, American dominance in the one industry that's supposed to secure our future is slipping through our fingers like sand. This isn't about one company failing or one competitor rising. This is about a systematic dismantling of American tech supremacy happening on 3 fronts simultaneously. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 systematic failures happening right now. First, the talent hemorrhage that's bleeding America's innovation engine dry. Second, China's industrial chess game that's turning our export controls into their competitive advantage. And third, the regulatory siege from our own allies that's extracting billions while handing infrastructure to Beijing. By the end, you'll understand why the next 5 years will determine whether America remains a tech superpower or becomes a cautionary tale. Let's start with something that should terrify every American who cares about our economic future. Here's a number that should make your blood run cold. Tech job postings in the United States have collapsed 36% from February 2020 to July 2025. But that's just the surface. Software engineering positions, the backbone of every app on your phone, every website you visit, every AI model that's supposed to revolutionize our future, are down 49%, nearly half, gone. These aren't minimum wage jobs disappearing. These are high-paying careers that built the middle class. And the positions vanishing fastest? The specialists. Android developers, down over 60%. Java experts, down over 60%. iOS developers, down over 60%. Web developers who literally built the internet you're using right now, down over 60%. Now you might be thinking, isn't this just market correction after pandemic hiring? That's the comfortable lie. But look at what's actually happening. Tech companies shed over 200,000 workers in 2023, followed by over 150,000 in 2024 and tens of thousands more through early 2025. They're not bringing them back. This isn't correction. This is permanent restructuring. Let me show you what this looks on the ground. Machine learning engineers with PhDs from top universities, years of experience, patents to their name, are applying to hundreds of positions over months. They're getting a handful of interviews, 0 offers. Not because they're unqualified, because the jobs don't exist anymore. Microsoft just laid off 6,000 workers in their largest cut since 2023. Intel is slashing costs by over $500 million in 2025, with plans for another $1 billion in 2026. These are the titans that built American dominance, choosing to cut American workers at the exact moment AI is supposed to create opportunity. But here's what should terrify you. Machine learning positions, the quintessential AI role, have fallen 47% from their 2022 peak. At the precise moment when AI is revolutionizing everything, America is bleeding the talent that builds it. This creates a devastating paradox. American companies are desperate for AI talent, but using AI to automate the jobs they used to fill with people. Over half of all technology skills are undergoing deep transformation. The industry is eating itself. So we're bleeding talent while our competitors stockpile it. And what I'm about to show you is who's winning this war. China isn't trying to beat America at the same game. They're rewriting the rules entirely. And they're winning. Let me show you the move that nobody in Washington wants to admit is working. In 2024, China dominated the global market for legacy chips, the semiconductors that power everything from automobiles to medical devices to home appliances. By 2027, China forecasts to control 39% of the global legacy chip market. That's more than the entire rest of the world combined. They added more production capacity in 2024 than every other country on Earth combined. But here's the genius part. That's not their real strategy. That's the decoy. While American policymakers celebrate export controls, Chinese engineers are building something far more dangerous. Walk into a facility in Shenzhen. You won't see cutting-edge NVIDIA H100 chips. You'll see rows of Huawei Ascend 910 chips, each one inferior to NVIDIA's. But they're not operating independently. They're clustered, thousands of them, interconnected, operating as a single massive supercomputer. Huawei's strategy is brutally simple. Their chips can't compete on performance, but they're connecting thousands into gigantic clusters powered by the cheapest energy on Earth: nuclear, solar, hydroelectric. Electricity so cheap it makes inefficiency irrelevant. Cities across China are offering subsidies, slashing electricity bills for data centers. Local governments hand out vouchers that dramatically cut computing costs. They're offsetting technological disadvantage with industrial scale and unlimited state resources. Chinese AI company DeepSeek launched the R1 model in January 2025 that rivaled OpenAI's most advanced reasoning model. Not with better chips, with more chips running on cheaper power using more efficient algorithms. Alibaba released two frontier AI models, Qwen 2.5 Max and Qwen 3 Max, both claiming to outperform top American models on specific benchmarks. The company committed tens of billions of dollars into cloud computing and AI over the next 3 years. That's one of the largest tech investment in human history, from one company, in one announcement. And here's what American export controls actually accomplished. They didn't stop China, they accelerated self-sufficiency. Commerce Secretary Lutnick testified Huawei will produce only 200,000 AI chips in 2025. Washington celebrated, but China legally imported around 1 million downgraded NVIDIA chips in 2024. The gap is closing rapidly, but the real strategic masterstroke is what nobody's talking about. While America focuses on preventing chip sales today, China is capturing the supply chains that will matter tomorrow. They control the vast majority of rare earth processing, the materials essential for every advanced chip. They dominate magnet production used in cooling systems for data centers. They have access to abundant low-cost power for industrial projects. These are the foundations that make AI infrastructure possible, and America is dependent on China for all of it. President 11 Jinping praised Chinese tech companies in his New Year's address for integrating science and technology, noting breakthroughs in developing their own chips. This isn't cheerleading. This is national mobilization with unlimited resources and 20-year planning. The proportion of Chinese funding for basic research is increasing dramatically. China's AI chip market is expected to grow several times larger than the 2025 market, which is already worth tens of billions of dollars. They're not just catching up, they're building the industrial capacity to dominate the next generation of technology, while America argues about whether to sell them last generation's chips. But China isn't America's only problem. Our supposed allies in Europe are systematically dismantling American tech with something far more effective than competition. Europe is systematically dismantling American tech, and they're doing it with regulation as economic warfare. The European Union has turned antitrust into precision-targeted revenue extraction. 9 of the 10 largest GDPR fines hit American companies. American firms are 10% of EU tech imports, but paid the vast majority of the largest penalties. The pattern is engineered. The Digital Markets Act created gatekeeper criteria reverse-engineered for exactly 5 companies: Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft. All American, 0 European. Parliament member Andreas Schwab stated openly it should focus on the 5 largest and explicitly not include a 7th to add a European gatekeeper. They said the quiet part out loud. In 2025, Apple was fined €500 million. Meta faced 200 million euros. Google was slapped with a massive 2.95 billion euros fine for favoring its own digital ad services. That's the fourth penalty EU competition regulators have levied against Google in the past decade. These aren't one-time corrections. This is systematic extraction of wealth from American companies. Let me show you how this works. When Apple updated iOS for Europe, they stripped out features American users got free. Why? The DMA mandated they open their ecosystem. Apple Intelligence features delayed. Advanced functionality blocked. European consumers got inferior products. European tech companies gained nothing. American innovation was handicapped while China took notes. These aren't just fines. They're operational restrictions that cripple American companies while European competitors operate freely. The DMA forces American platforms to allow competitors access to their ecosystems. It mandates interoperability. It restricts how they can integrate their own services. European companies face none of these restrictions because they never reached gatekeeper status. It's a moat that protects European mediocrity while dismantling American excellence. American officials describe these regulations as a de facto tariff system, and the math proves it. The fines are calculated as percentages of global revenue, not European revenue. When Europe fines Google 2.95 billion euros, that's money extracted from worldwide operations, not just European profits. It's wealth transfer disguised as consumer protection. The Trump administration threatened retaliation. Teresa Ribera, EU Competition Commissioner, called it blackmail, saying the digital rulebook isn't negotiable. The bloc won't hold back because of Trump's threats. This creates an impossible situation. Comply with regulations that handicap operations, abandon the world's second-largest market, or fight governments with unlimited legal resources. All three weaken American competitiveness. And here's the connection nobody's making. While Europe regulates American companies into submission, they're creating a vacuum. And that vacuum is being filled. The vast majority of Europe's digital infrastructure is now owned by non-European companies. But while Brussels focuses on regulating consumer-facing services like e-commerce and app stores, the underlying infrastructure, the cloud platforms, the data centers, the AI training facilities are being captured by whoever isn't being regulated into oblivion. European economist Christina Cafara said it perfectly. Imagine if Americans woke up one morning to discover that 90% of their digital infrastructure was owned by Europeans. Would they regulate? Or would they demand their government take action and rebuild? Europe's strategy is backfiring spectacularly. They're weakening American companies without building European alternatives. And China is filling every gap they create. So where does this leave America? American advantages are temporary, narrowing significantly each year. China's advantages are structural, compounding over time. By the end of the decade, the semiconductor industry will surpass $1 trillion in value. The US and China battle will shape this industry for decades. Right now, China outmaneuvers in manufacturing. Europe weakens American firms with regulation, and American companies lay off the talent that built their dominance. The decisions being made right now will determine whether America remains the innovation engine of the world or becomes dependent on technologies controlled by adversaries. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are we watching the end of American tech dominance, or is this just a temporary setback before America roars back? I want to hear your perspective because this affects every single one of us. Watch another video here.